As popular as the How to Train Your Dragon scores are among fans, there's still a lot of debate about what the various musical themes and leitmotifs represent. It's probably fair enough to connect a theme to a character who appears a lot when that theme plays, but I've learned it's not always that obvious, and you can't always guess the author's intent. For example, there's one theme that's often mistaken to be Valka's theme, mostly because it plays a lot when she's around, especially in some really important moments. But some consider it to be a theme for Hiccup, or even for Toothless. So instead of representing one character that way, it was written for an idea that follows them through the story. I just want to mention first that all my sources are in the description, and most of the clips come from my friend's channel, Scenes and Scores. She uploads movie scenes with only the score, no sound effects or dialogue or anything. She's done entire movies at this point, and her videos make it really easy to appreciate the effect the score has on the movie. I should probably also mention that this theme is so tied to the story that I really can't talk about it without going into spoilers. So, not that it's anything new, spoilers for a movie that's 5.5 years old, and one that's about a year old. Let's start with John Powell's working style. He likes to wait as long as possible to actually get involved in the project. That way it's not likely to have any drastic changes while he's still working on it. And when the filmmakers are so used to the project they've been working on, he's able to come in with a fresh audience perspective. He also likes to write for story themes, not just characters. When he saw How to Train Your Dragon 2, he noticed this motif throughout the story. Characters being separated and reunited, finding new things about themselves and each other. And he decided to connect all these moments by writing one theme for them, which he calls Lost and Found. He even wrote it into the track titles of several of the more important moments. Dean DeBlois, who wrote and directed the movie, didn't even notice this pattern until Powell drew attention to it. And through the score, through this one theme, Powell was able to highlight what's really the main theme of this movie in more ways than one. Not only that, but whether he meant it or not, this also musically laid the foundation for a perfect way to end the trilogy. So the first time Lost and Found ever plays is when Hiccup's long-lost mother Valka is introduced. Only it's kind of a strange and incomplete version of the theme, because they don't know their connection yet. Just a few seconds later is the first full version of the theme, when Toothless is separated and alone, hence the track title, Toothless Lost. We even get a piece of it in the following scene, when Stoic and Gobber are searching for Hiccup. Meanwhile, Hiccup's mother is revealed to be Hiccup's mother, which is a huge surprise unless you saw the trailer. So we get a flashback sequence of when she was taken, one of the moments Lost and Found was really written for. But just before she's taken is the first time she finds any evidence dragons can be peaceful. This is another full statement of the theme, once again sung by a choir, and this time played on a celeste, both of which help to make it feel like a lullaby. This is also the first of many times we hear just how bold, powerful, and dramatic it can be. And the final phrase of the theme is on piano. I've noticed there's at least one piano solo in all 3 movies, and there's something kind of special about some, if not all of them. But I'm going to come back to that idea at the end of this video. Next is Flying with Mother, which is easily one of the best scenes in the movie, but it was almost cut out entirely. John Powell says this scene was originally going to contain a song, as in a song with lyrics. Lyrics in English as opposed to Gaelic, which this song actually has. I'm guessing this would have been Where No One Goes from earlier in the movie, but according to the filmmakers, something about having a song right here just didn't work with the flow of the whole thing. So when they screened the movie with test audiences, this was always the point where people lost interest or got up to go to the bathroom. So before scrapping the whole thing, they decided to ask John Powell to give it a try. Now honestly, I don't know why they didn't go to him first, especially after they were so impressed with him on the first movie, and all the dialogue-free scenes that let the score tell the story were really well received in the first movie. But it also kinda works out because working under pressure is kind of what he's best at. So when he wrote this cue, he decided it would still be appropriate to use Lost and Found. But this created a new problem. Lost and Found was written to be tragic and honorable, and this scene is very joyful and fun. How did he make it work? Well, according to him, it was just a matter of getting a bigger hammer and forcing the peg through the hole. And around here, everything completely goes off the rails for a minute and comes to a screeching halt. Lost and Found will be back soon, though. Now, this far into the movie, it's about time Stoic found out his wife is still alive. And I think this is a good reason for why everyone thinks this is Valka's theme. So far, it does seem pretty strongly connected to her character, but really it's about more than her. And she's just the main thing we have right now to attach this idea of Lost and Found to. So of course it plays here as they're reunited. Very slow and soft at first. She doesn't know how he's going to react, and to him it's like he's seeing a ghost. When he finally reaches her, she's surprised he accepts her again, and Lost and Found comes back, this time much warmer and louder. Hi, quick editor's note here. I hoped it wouldn't have to come to this, but after a lot of trial and error, the only way I could get this project public is by splitting it in 2. Even though it's a little shorter, part 2 is where a lot of the development happens and where things get really interesting. And this just happens to be the best place I could split everything without creating a cliffhanger ending. So please give this a like or a comment before clicking over to part 2, because this is still far from the end of this theme. Thanks.